So I want to now talk a little bit about a notion that Rinpoche spoke about earlier, which we call innate basic goodness. And we use this phrase, innate basic goodness, very intentionally to suggest that goodness and kindness and related characteristics very much are like the way scientists think about language. We know that each of us is born with a capacity for language, but in order for that capacity to be expressed, we need to be raised in a normal linguistic community which nurtures that quality. And there are case studies of children who are raised in the wild, feral children. They don't develop normal language. And it may very well be the same with kindness and with compassion, that these qualities are actually there from the start. And this is one reason why the nurturing of these qualities may actually not be that difficult, because we're recognizing an intrinsic part of our own minds. And so what's the scientific evidence for this? And let me just share a little bit of this. This is a growing corpus of scientific evidence that really is fascinating. It turns out that if a 6-month-old baby is presented with a little scenario with puppets, and in one case, the puppets are behaving in a very warm-hearted and cooperative way, and in a second case, the puppets are behaving very selfishly and aggressively. And then if you ask a 6-month-old baby which it prefers, now, of course, we have to figure out how to ask a 6-month-old baby that question. So there are a couple of ways we could do that. One is, if we're dealing with puppets, we can actually, and the puppets may look physically different, and the way this has been done scientifically is the puppets simply have different colors, and this has all been carefully randomized and controlled, so it's not the color that's producing these effects, I can promise you that. If the baby is offered a puppet that was behaving in a warm-hearted way and a second puppet that was behaving in a selfish way, which do you think the baby will reach for? More than 90% of 6-month-old babies reach for the puppet that was warm-hearted and cooperative. And there are many other experiments in this same genre that suggest the same thing. And we can use other methods to make inferences about the baby's preference. One of them is simply smiling. If you look at the incidence and duration of smiling in these 6-month-old babies, the babies smile a lot more to the warm-hearted interaction compared to the interaction that was selfish and aggressive. And you know, it's kind of obvious. All of you come to a meeting like this. You wouldn't come to an event which taught you how to become more angry. It's part of our nature. We all have a wish to be happy and to be free of suffering. And one of the things that we discovered when Dan Goleman and I wrote the book Altered Traits, and we surveyed the scientific literature on meditation, one of the things that was quite striking when we looked at the data in aggregate is that practices that are designed to nurture this kind of basic goodness turn out to produce impact on behavior and on physiology much more quickly than simple, quote, mindfulness practices. And it may be because this basic goodness is really so innate and very much a part of who we are. And it doesn't take that much to nurture these qualities. And if we do this on a regular basis, we can really recognize this feature of our minds, and it becomes more familiar and available more spontaneously.